Hello, everyone. We still have people logging in, so we'll give them just a couple minutes to get settled, and then we'll get started. All right, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Link Center today for the shared learning group focused on the topic of developing emotional regulation and coping skills. I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items while we get started. The session is being recorded, and the recording and the transcript will be available on our website. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with others. Attendees cannot see the names of other attendees, and all attendees are muted. Please use the chat function in Zoom to communicate with other attendees and host during the webinar. You can use the chat by clicking on Chat at the bottom of your screen. And please be aware that your name will appear in the chat if you make a comment, and you can change your display name by clicking the 3 dots next to your name and selecting Rename. We will have representatives from the Link Center watching the chat today and responding throughout the session. And if you'd like to submit a question or a comment privately to the host and panelist, you can do that by clicking on the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We have live captioning and ASL interpreters present today. We will be spotlighting the active speaker and the ASL interpreter throughout the webinar. If you click on View on your Zoom screen, you can change the way you see the panelists. And if you're having any trouble with your view, please let us know in the chat and we'll try to help you. At this time, I'm going to hand the floor over to Dr. Stacy Nonamaker, who's going to get us started today. Stacy, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Well, good afternoon to those on the East Coast, still maybe in the morning time, those on the West Coast, but glad to have you all joining us today. As Stephanie said, my name is Stacy Nonamaker. I am with the NASD's team, one of the partners of the Link Center. By way of a visual description, I'm a middle-aged white woman with a dirty blonde, straight shoulder length hair. I'm wearing glasses and a white shirt. I'm in front of a blue background today. As I said, we are the Link Center and we're hosting today's shared learning group. We are funded by the Administration for Community Living. We are a project of national significance. And just really excited to have the opportunity to bring you all together today to talk about developing emotional regulation and coping skills. If you don't know about the Link Center, here is a QR code and the link to our website so you can learn more about what we're doing. We have a lot of things beyond these shared learning groups in the works. Would really like you to check out the website, check back often. We're constantly updating it, putting new resources, information in there, really aiming to increase mental health access for people with IDD, brain injury, and other disabilities who have co-occurring mental health conditions. So what are these shared learning groups? Perhaps some of you have joined us before, but just a quick overview for those of you who are just finding out about us. Shared learning groups are our way to bring together groups of people. We host 4 meetings per quarter, one for direct support professionals, one aimed at clinical professionals, one for people with lived experience, and the last one for families of people with lived experience. The topic and the information is all pretty much the same. The DSPs, the clinical professionals, and the families tomorrow will all be getting the same information around how to take care of yourself while you're taking care of others. And the content tomorrow for people with lived experience is going to be a little different. And it'll be talking about how to take care of yourself. It'll be giving some really great tools and resources So if you know anybody who has lived experience, somebody with co-occurring mental health support needs, that would benefit from having that conversation, please have them join us tomorrow. These presentations with the Shared Learning Group are a collaboration among the Link Center partners. There are many, and you will meet some of them today. Our partners include people with lived experience, researchers, and people who work on policy issues. As Stephanie said, and it bears repeating, we do record and transcribe all of our shared learning groups. That means we'll capture all of the words that people say in the meeting, and we will be sure to have the materials to you after the meeting, and we encourage you to share. You can access the materials on our webpage, as well as other shared learning groups that we've done since October 2023. So what are we going to do today? Well, first of all, we'd love to say hi to you all and know who's in our audience. So if you want to take a moment, put your name and any group, association, or membership you may have in the chat. It would be really great to see and hear from you all. We'll also take a moment to really dig into why we're talking about developing emotional regulation and coping skills for people with co-occurring conditions. We're going to talk and share a little bit about what we've learned as the Link Center, and share some resources, training, and information, but also ask you about, some resources, training, and information that you may be digging into. And then we're going to spend a portion of the time really applying the things that we share with you through a group exercise. And it'll help us not only put into action how we deal with challenges that require emotional regulation, the use of coping skills to help us manage difficult moments and stressful situations, but also as a Link Center, it'll give us some insight into what you are all thinking and how you think about maintaining your health and wellness. So we have some goals. Again, we'll share what we're doing at the Link Center related to this topic. So you'll learn the importance of self-care, managing emotions in the midst of stressful situations, and why it's important for the people receiving your support. And we'll also share some resources about developing emotional regulation and coping skills. And then we're hoping again that this is the shared part of the shared learning group, that we will learn what you think about managing emotions during challenging moments. Targeting some of the things that are out there, things that you use by way of resources and information. And we open up the chat and just welcome you all to be dropping that in the chat as we're meeting today. But in particular, when we get to the group exercise, we really want to hear from you all. So we'd like to really set some groundwork with our shared learning groups. And the Link Center has a steering committee that really drives the work that we do. And this steering committee is made up of individuals with varied and diverse lived experience. And they've created these shared lived experience statements. So we like to go through them for each of the shared learning group to really ground us and bring us to a shared understanding. So the first is, take care of yourself, do what is necessary for your comfort and care. We believe that we should be gentle with ourselves and each other because this is hard work to do. And sometimes the things that we talk about may be difficult or triggering for some of us. We celebrate that we are all individuals from different backgrounds. We celebrate that we have shared experiences to learn from. And we know that we are each unique with our own experiences in the world. We listen and we share with open minds and kindness, and we do not judge or blame others for what they share. Feeling supported and having everything you need is different for everyone. So the question that we have for you all, as I see, and it's great to see everybody saying hi in the chat, but continuing that momentum in the chat, what are the things that are important to you to feel like you have everything you need to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally well? I know for me, I'll throw it out there, and 'tis the season with the spring and the beautiful weather here in Pennsylvania. Getting outside, being able to be in nature is really, really important for me, both or all of them, for physically, mentally, and emotional wellness. So would love to hear from you all. So you can drop that in the chat. Just gets us thinking about our topic today. And again, we're really going to be diving into the idea of developing emotional regulation and coping skills, being aware when we need to tap into those emotional regulation and coping skills. And since this particular session is targeted to direct support professionals, we're really targeting, as supporters, the need to take care of yourself, the need to be aware of when you need to take care of yourself, and when you need to tap into those coping skills. All right, so one of our partners that you'll hear from today is Dr. Andrea Whitwer, who is with the Nisanger Center at The Ohio State University. And they're doing some really great work in understanding prevalence and needs of people with co-occurring mental health conditions. This video that we're going to show you is a good lead-in to the need for and examples of how people tend to their health and wellness, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So also, you'll notice at the end of this video, it's an opportunity for the people you support to share their experiences. There'll be a QR code and information there. And if you have any questions about this project, you can put the questions in the chat. Dr. Andrea Whitwer is here and can answer any questions. So we'll go ahead and play this for you now.
How do you feel today?
I feel pretty good.
Flabbergasted.
Like $2,000, my man. Like $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah.
I'm happy because I've been doing good work today.
How do you stay happy?
Simple answer, 2 words, video games.
By smiling.
Well, when I see Disney movies.
I have like my cat.
I enjoy my life. I'm playing games and I'm working out.
What do you do to make yourself feel better?
Winning.
I cuddle with my cat.
Talk about my feelings.
What makes me feel better is like I meditate because it calms me down, and I like to pamper myself, like using face masks and stuff.
I listen to music. I have like a stress ball, so I play with the stress ball.
I like to eat.
I try to think that I got this whenever I'm faced with a difficult situation.
We want to hear from you. Join our health research project for adults with intellectual disability. You and your support person will get a $100 gift card. We want to hear about your experience with health so doctors can provide better care. Your voice matters.
Make your voice heard in our new research project about health and wellness called Can You Hear Us Now? Brought to you by the Ohio State University Nisanger Center.
Can you hear us now?
This video was produced by the Human Development Center at LSU Health New Orleans with the help of our Paycheck program. Learn more and sign up online at go.osu.edu/RRTCSTUDY or call 1-833-678-7782.
Can you hear me now?
So I think that was a really good video to kick us off with our topic today. And thanks a lot to those of you in the chat. It's so good to see the things that you all do to tend to your health and wellness, which is so very critical at any time. And so I get to turn it over now to our partners, Jean Farr, who is with NAD, and Dr. Andrea Whitwer, who is with the Nisanger Center at the OSU.
Hello, everybody. So nice to meet you all today. I am Dr. Andrea Whitwer. I am a middle-aged white woman with long shoulder-length brown hair and a navy shirt on, and I'm in front of the whitish gray link background. And I'm going to be presenting today with Jean Farr, who is from NAD, an Association for People with IDD and Co-occurring Mental Health Conditions. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? I think this is, if you've done other sessions, this one is maybe a little bit different than others in that our goal is for us to be pretty interactive and for you guys to try stuff out as we're going. Because I think as we as a Link Center, we're talking, we're talking about thinking about how do we take care of the people who take care of and support and are there for our adults with intellectual developmental disabilities, brain injuries, and mental health conditions. This job can be really rewarding, but also really stressful. And we know that managing that stress is really crucial for you as providers and also for the people that you take care of. If we don't kind of manage our own stress and take care of ourselves, it's really hard to take care of the people around us. So the whole goal for today is we're going to talk about some strategies of things that can help you all, and then also things you can hopefully share with those people that you support. So I would love, I know we don't get to have a ton of chatting at this point, but I would love to see stuff in the chat. You guys are great talking about all the things that you do to feel good, make yourself feel happy mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I'm gonna kind of ask for some participation as we go through. So as Stacy said, I am a researcher and a clinical psychologist from the Niswonger Center. So I'm going to make the case for why you should take care of yourself on and off of the job, and why it's important for everybody in the stratosphere of folks with disabilities to take care of themselves. We know that the stress that parents and caregivers feel impacts those that they care for. There's direct relationships between the stress of a caregiver and the behavior and the stress of the people that they take care of. So it's really important that we figure out ways. And I've actually done a little bit of research on this, where we found that if we can provide stress reduction, so some of these strategies we're going to talk about today, such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, we can improve parent, caregiver, and direct support professional stress. And we know from the research that it definitely improves behavior in children. And there's initial data that we've done here at the Niswonger Center that says that it also can improve the mental health of the adults with intellectual disability who are working with support professionals. So if you needed more encouragement to do this for the folks that you work with, it's important. It's also important for you, right? We know that our physical health is tied to our abilities to manage stress, to regulate those emotions. And throughout the day, stress is going to come. And how do we manage to take care of that stress? I always think of like a pressure cooker. And what we're going to do today is to talk about how to stop this pressure from building so that we just kind of feel like we've had enough. We stop it before we feel like we've had enough. So what are some ways that we can do that, right? So we're going to talk about these practical real-time strategies that you can use both in stressful situations as well as to prevent having stress. So kind of putting them in throughout your day. We're going to describe different strategies, and then we're going to practice them as a group. And then we're going to ask you to share your strategies with us as well. Okay, before we get started, one of the most important things to do with mood and emotion regulation is to check in with ourselves. This is a fabulous visual that one of our steering committee members shared with me For her, she uses this with her team to check in every day to see how she's feeling and throughout the day. So if you feel comfortable, I'd like you guys to tell me, oh, there we go. Perfect. Misty, you beat me to it. Yeah. Where are you right now? Are you good? Like things are great. I'm okay. I'm feeling frustrated. It's been a rough morning. Angry. Feeling like I'm going to explode. Perfect. All right. So I see some 1s and 2s in here. We're kind of in this, okay, we're good. We've got there. Some folks are starting to get to that frustrated. I feel, yeah, it's been a frustrating week for me too. So I think this is that first step in a regulation. And sometimes when we are going, right, when you're taking care of someone, when you're supporting them, you're just going all the time. And it's important to take that check-in. Where am I right now? Am I where I want to be? How am I feeling? Accepting that, recognizing those emotions, not being mad at yourself for how you feel. So that whole idea of just recognizing where we're at, that's that part of that mindfulness piece. All right, so let's talk about some ways that we can work on regulating. So I'm guessing that how many people have heard someone say, just take a breath, right? It's been a stressful day, just take a breath. And sometimes in the moment that can feel frustrating to be told to just take a breath. It can be feeling like someone's maybe like, I don't know, like dismissing you. But there's actually some research that shows that when we take those breaths, it calms our nervous system down. It can actually change our mood just using your breath. I see you, Andrea, you with yourself and your clients. And that's exactly that piece, right? So when you're with your client and you're feeling your like temperature start to rise, taking that calm moment to take it for yourself and for both of you together, it can be a really powerful thing for a few reasons, right? One, calm your nervous system down. And it models for the person that you're with, maybe that has never been like understood or been exposed to this idea of controlled breathing, to do it. So the whole idea here is to take just that second or two that you need. We want to make it this deep diaphragmatic breathing, right? So you want to inhale deeply through your nose, making sure that your stomach is able to expand. Then you want to exhale slowly through your mouth. And the whole idea here, try to make it longer than your inhale or match it. So you can do this. I'm going to have Stacy drop a cool resource in the chat. If you're someone who says, I have a hard time taking it slow, and just breathe. I love, and there's a ton of them out there. This was one that I just found recently that's like breathing with shapes that you can find on YouTube. You can pull this up on your phone. It's a good visual support for the folks that we work with, but I find it nice for myself too. Again, you guys are interacting with me, but I'm kind of like a person that's going like, 100 miles an hour all the time. So having that visual, and it's basically this ball that expands and then contracts. So that's what we want to think about it. So first, I'd like us all to try the diaphragmatic breathing. So I'm going to count you guys in and out, and we're going to try to do this 3 times just to see if we can kind of practice it. So you want to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try it one more time. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it takes a little bit more effort to do that whole breathing out a bit more than in. And that's part of the trick, is you don't want to just go, but it's that mindfulness, paying attention to your breath. What did people think of this? How do you feel after having done that? Have you tried this breathing out for a longer time in the past? Can you feel your pulse maybe dropping a little bit? Yeah, and I see Justin talking about the Breathe app and mindfulness. That's another great thing if you have one of the Apple Watches that you can use that, and it gives you that visual too. And yeah, that it's one way that can very much help. Yeah, it really does, Lisa, take that practice and attention to your breath. You've got to like tell yourself, okay, slow down, do it. I'm going to have you guys practice another one. This is my personal favorite. It's another one that I like because it forces me to really pay attention to my breath and slow down. And that's called box breathing. So what we're going to do with box breathing is we breathe in, we hold our breath, and then we breathe out. So it's another aspect of being mindful with it. So I'm going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. It's another one like Lisa's saying, I think it takes a little bit of practice because you have to get comfortable with the holding your breath part, which I know often sometimes our folks with disabilities are like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with that. And so it might take, and it took me a bit too, because I'm like, ooh, I want to breathe. But as Justin is saying in the chat, it gives you that, like, you have to focus on it, right? And so what this does, again, calms our nervous system down, but it takes our brain into the here and the now with our breath. And we're paying attention to where we are in our body and our space. So the other one, these are great things that we know work for folks with a range of disabilities. And those visual supports, there's a ton of them out there that you can just look and do like a quick Google for and pull up on your phone. Even if you just do like a visual support of box breathing, you can see that. You can play around with the different breathing with shapes, breathing with expanding things. And so it's something that you can do. Oh, so Tyler will do box breathing after, oh, I've not heard of the diving reflex of putting his face in their face in ice water. That's definitely a way to feel the parts of your body, right? With that cold water. But the other piece that and what we know with controlled breathing is trying it regularly, scheduling it. So don't just do it when you're stressful. Try to break those things up throughout your day so that you can let out some of that pressure at those points. Pull yourself back, right? You're going in a bunch of directions. It takes 30 seconds for yourself. It could be something. Maybe you start practicing it at bedtime. That's a nice time that you can do that. The other thing with that, when you're walking someone through it, so for me, kind of keeping with that slow, calm voice, steady tone, self-talk in that same way too. Those are the types of things too that when you're talking with someone you're supporting, talking with a loved one, is trying to really use positive language, avoid words that might trigger stress. If you know that those are ones that are going to be frustrating for the folks that you're working with. And then thinking about how we can reframe situations by focusing on the solution rather than the problem. So you've done this breathing, you're very worked up about something, you've done the breathing. Hopefully at this point, you now are able to kind of have this more clear language. You know, I'm very frustrated because it's really hard to transition Jane over from the television. And you can you can sit and talk about that, but instead maybe focusing on solutions with Jane. Jane, it's time for us to do your cooking task. Let's think of some fun things that we can make. And how can we make this into a fun thing that kind of reframes it? And sometimes I think this is on here too, because this is tips to work with the people you're working with, but it's reframing how you're going to approach some of those stressful situations. So try to get a clear mind and then think towards solution, think towards the positive. These are the things that are going well. These are the things you're doing great. These are the things I'm doing well. These are the things I'm doing great. I'm seeing Misty say that she tried that yesterday and it worked. Yeah, it takes practice to think, how can I turn this into a more positive situation? Okay, let's talk about another technique that we can use. So this is another mindfulness-based strategy. And this is one that allows us to pull ourselves into the here and the now. It's this whole idea of engaging in sensory awareness. The idea is noticing how your body feels in the environment, notice your surroundings, or you could focus on a neutral object. So you may not want to stare at the messy closet or the shoes that your child laid all over the floor as your object. But we can do those things. You can also do it with a tactile thing, such as a rock, taking a sip of warm herbal tea. There's a lot of ways to ground ourselves, and it's very much a nice way to maybe stop some of the negative thoughts in our heads and move into just shifting gears. So the one that I'd like to have you all practice is one that's got a lot of great research for adults, specifically with autism and intellectual disability. And they've shown that it helps them control their urges to be verbally aggressive or physically aggressive. It's been used to train folks to use it in a workplace setting when they're maybe having trouble with aggression or difficulties. And so I'm going to walk you guys through it. And this is a nice one. It is Soles of the Feet is the name of it. So the whole rationale, when an incident occurs or a situation arises that makes you angry and you feel like either verbally threatening someone or something, it's important to be able to control those feelings. We don't want to hurt people we disagree with. There's a simple way of calming yourself down. So that's the script that they use when they're teaching folks about this. So here are the steps of the skill. If you're standing, I want you to stand in a neutral, not an aggressive, but a neutral position with the bottom of your feet or the soles of your feet flat on the floor. If you're sitting, I want you to sit comfortably with the soles of your feet flat on the floor. I want you to first think of that incident that made you angry. Think of an incident maybe for you that made you angry. Was it something that happened at work? Was it an interaction with a caregiver? An interaction with your client? We want to think about that for a minute. Okay, you're feeling angry, and then the angry thoughts are flowing. The whole idea of mindfulness is we let them flow. We're not going to judge them, but we're going to let them flow. You might feel your body starting to tense up. You might start breathing. We want to just recognize this. Okay, now I'd like you guys to shift your attention to your feet. Move your toes. Feel your shoes covering your feet. Feel the texture of your socks, the curve of the arch of your foot. Feel how the heels of your feet hit against the back of your shoes. If you don't have shoes on, feel the floor or the carpet with the bottoms of your feet. I want you to keep breathing naturally and focus on your feet until you feel calm. And the whole goal here is that we would practice this mindfulness exercise and time during other times where they're feeling distress. Like to think about a mood check-in now. So a lot of you were out of one. You were feeling pretty good when we came in doing some of these practice sessions. How are we now? Maybe some of the folks that were feeling those threes a little bit earlier. A little bit calmer. And it's okay too if you don't feel a one, right? That's the whole idea, is you may not be able to get to where you want to be immediately, but by practicing those things over and over again, they're going to help you as a caregiver. We did some research where we did this over the course of 6 weeks with a group of DSPs, and they felt less burned out, had less symptoms of depression and less stress. Sometimes people might be like, I don't have time for this stuff. But really, it helps to create more time when you feel more comfortable and happier with what you're doing and calmer. So I think those are just important things that I'd like you guys to try with your folks. And I'd also like to turn it over to Jean, who's going to ask you about you guys were sharing a little bit in the chat. But I'll turn it over to Jean Farr from NAD to walk us through the next part of our presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Whitwer, and I am delighted to join you all. As Stephanie and Andrea said, I'm Jean Farr from NAD, an association for people with intellectual developmental disabilities and co-occurring mental health conditions. I am an older white woman with short brown hair, glasses, a pink sweater, and pearl earrings. And I am very excited to take the screen now and learn more from all of you around strategies that work for you or the people you work with. Earlier in our chat, I noticed there was a big trend in terms of nature and people wanting, people like being able to regulate their stress and feel better by being in nature, by camping, fishing, walking, being in the sunshine, exercise. There were a lot of people that talked about movement, like dancing, other things like music, reading. What are some of the other things that you all thought about? Go ahead and raise your hand or put in the chat ideas that you have. So let's see, Tyler mentions that we start every team meeting with a sound bath. We all lay on the floor, participate in the sound bath, and he talks about how it has really helped with the team. Sound baths are amazing. For those of you that have not experienced them, definitely Google it or look on YouTube. There are many, many videos about sound baths, and it really is like bathing and having your senses kind of taken over by sounds, different sounds. Someone also mentioned that teaching the people that they work with what stress or anxiety feels like in their body, kind of to help them understand and pay more attention to their body. And that kind of reminds me of some of the work by a neuroscientist by the name of Dr. Robert Sapolsky, who has done a lot of writing and research around the impact of stress on the body, and has done a lot of work on how we in our modern world don't have kind of the natural ways of shrugging off stress that might have been easier in simpler times, or like with animals. Animals, when they're in a really stressful situation, they kind of shake it off, and they can get rid of some of their energy. And we as modern humans can do the same thing. Some people practice shake physically, like moving in their seat, standing, shaking, kind of shutting the door so nobody can see them, and dancing around to kind of release energy. Other things that people noted were reading and gaming, a stress ball. People mentioned using a stress ball. I have a very cute stress ball that I use sometimes. Being with friends, family, being with animals, watching TV, sleeping. Those were some of the other things that we, that we shared. Let's see. Someone just noted that they participate in goat yoga. Now I'm going to have to look that up. Goat yoga sounds like a super fun way to experience yoga. So another thing that we can do is thinking about our environments. What soothes us about our environments? Some of us are more sensitive than others. I, for one, have a very hard time with fluorescent lighting. And so anytime I have control over my own environment, I try to make the lighting soft. When I know people that when they're having a very difficult time, they introduce scents like lavender, vanilla, things that they know will calm them. And when working with others, you get to know people over time, and you get to know what are those things that you can do in that moment that can help someone move into just a calmer way of feeling and being. Somebody noted that they also help when artificial lighting is removed. And here in the chat, Angela notes that she directs people to music, picking out tomorrow's clothing, asking questions about their day, having them, look out and notice outside things like cars, trees, birds. Someone talks about candles, that they burn candles all the time. And I have to say, I have always in my office this artificial candle, a battery operated candle. I find it really, really soothing because as Andrea mentioned earlier, throughout the day, things can become stressful. Weighted blankets are another thing that people love to use, and wax warmers. So there's so much you can do, to create a soothing environment, not only for yourself, but the person that you're working with. Some of them we have, noted here, and I'm so grateful to all of you that are participating in the chat, because we can learn so much from each other, and we are a learning community here. So also movement, like I began by talking about kind of shaking things off. There are also more subtle ways of moving that can help all of us calm down a bit. Stretching, just gentle stretching in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Walking, using simple rhythmic activities such as rocking, tapping fingers. There's so many things that we know support us, and in working with others, you kind of all, I know, try to figure out what are the ways, the things that help others relax. Meditating, somebody just talked about meditating as a great way to calm down. Playing with the rings on one's fingers, and just taking time and space to be alone. Those are pretty important. Also, Misty says that feeling the edge of her clothes, their clothes where the hems are, putting feet in running water. Some people love to bathe, for instance. So stretch management in the moment. Andrea gave us a lot of great practice in terms of ways to use the breath in calming down and in helping others to calm down. But I think, when in a really stressful situation, in the moment, just taking 3 deep breaths before responding to a stressful situation, just 3 deep, as slow as possible breaths, that will help regulate your system, your heart, but it will also help relax your mind a bit and prevent you from maybe reacting in the moment. Those breaths it's just wonderful how they can completely redirect the cells in our body. Also clenching and releasing fists, to try to release your tension. A lot of people use that. Doing quick tapping, bilateral tapping on your arms or legs. I mean, you can, just tap every other side of your body, and it helps you kind of reset and realign yourself, and it takes the focus away from the immediate moment and the immediate stress, because you're kind of focusing on a different part of your being in the moment. Strategies when you're working with someone closely, for instance, if you're in a really stressful situation, kind of lower your body. See if you can, either kind of get lower in the ground, get a chair, just get kind of low and quiet, and be with someone so they don't feel as though they're, kind of being towered over, but be with someone, be with them where they're at, and use distraction techniques like redirecting to a familiar or calming topic. Also giving clear and simple choices so that in the moment, for instance, with my nephew who has autism and a variety of other conditions. For him, when he is really stressed out, the thing that calms him most is he listens to the sounds of buses or trains. Buses from different parts of the country, trains from different parts of the world. And so when he's feeling anxious, I just kind of ask him, like, what's the last bus system that you listened to, or do you want to go listen to some trains? And it's an immediate redirection for him, because it's his absolute favorite thing to do, not only to calm himself, but for joy. He just enjoys it. It just makes him feel really, really happy. So maintaining resilience over time, transition rituals. So when people are going between situations, and ourselves, when we're moving in and out of a situation that causes us stress or anxiety of any kind, to develop a short routine. Like if we know we're going to be going into a situation that challenges us, what routine can we develop for ourselves? Maybe it's just shutting the door, taking deep breaths. Maybe it's just kind of excusing yourself and stepping out and, taking a look outside, taking a breath of fresh air, going out and noticing, the nature. Are the leaves changing? Just what kind of calms you down? And then you can also, of course, do that with the folks that you are working with. There are so many ways to look at how to calm ourselves down, how to work with others to help them calm down. And it's kind of a fun technique to work with someone and ask them, what are these kinds of things we have in common around calming down? Do you like to go and take a walk, or do you like music, or to find things that you have in common with the person that you're working with? And then when difficult things happen, you can even use them to sort of calm down together. So thank you so much. Let me look at some of the chat here before I turn it back to my colleague. People are saying that they use a nice playing with buttons on the shirt, cleaning house, using a rice bag, telling myself everything will be okay, basic positive self-talk. Andrea talked about that, and it is amazing what the brain will do with that information. If you just tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can, I'm managing this well, you just really, your body believes you. So it's very helpful to remember those affirmations during difficult times. People are talking about quick body scans, listening to the rain. These are all so many, thank you for sharing so many great ideas with us. And now I'm going to turn it back to my colleague, Andrea, who will be sharing some additional resources over time.
Everybody. So I wanted to share a few resources with you. One that I'll go to in just a second is an example of a daily check-in that our steering committee member, Alicia, that I referred to earlier, shared with us. And I'll talk about how that can be a helpful resource. One of the meditation mindfulness apps that I really like to use, because it has a lot of the variety of the things you guys all are talking about, is Insight Timer. It's free. And so there are a number of either musicals, someone was talking about sound baths, they have visualization, they have a lot of ones that work on like muscle tensing and relaxing. So there's a lot of different ways to explore how you might want to do either meditation or mindfulness. So I highly recommend checking out Insight Timer. If you haven't really heard a lot about MBSR, the Positive Psychology website has just a nice example of it, descriptions of it, some different techniques that are mindfulness-based techniques. So I encourage you to check out that website as well. And then I wanted to close by just walking through this daily check-in. Oh, I thought it was here. Is it not in here? Stephanie?
Pull it up separately.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, just 1 second.
I'm making a mess of the slides. I'll go back to where I'm supposed to go back. There we go. So while there were, oh, there we go. When we were planning this session, so all the stuff that the Link Center does, we work with our steering committee, which is a fabulous group of folks with lived experience. And we were talking to all of them about what they do to help regulate their emotions. And Alicia shared the daily check-in that she uses with her team in order to let them know where she's at. And so I just wanted to take time to scroll through it with you a little bit, just to see how this could help. One, some of these strategies can help you checking in with yourself, but also as you work in with your client, whether it be asking them, she has some great technology skills, so she fills this out as a Google Doc every day to let her team know what's going on, but it's like getting on the same page. So what's one goal you have for today? So that's there. What's one thing you're grateful for? That's another one of those things. We know that folks that take a moment to think about things that they're grateful for can have improved mood. A word that you see to describe yourself for the day. What you want to see for the day. Checking in with the client about how they're feeling with their pain. We know obviously pain can impact our mood, and having a pain scale for them to be able to share with us can be very helpful. And then understanding where that pain is so that expectations are appropriate, and we're meeting folks where they are in the moment with those visual supports. Ways that providers can help to support that physical pain. The zones. So where is she in her moods for the day? So she uses zones of regulation, which is another great evidence-based system that often is used in schools around teaching children where they're feeling in the scheme of zones and what zone they want to be in, and helping them, as I think Justin said, recognizing how they're feeling in their body. And so that's something that her staff work on, zeroing her in on there. And how many spoons? That's another one to kind of realize. How many spoons do you have today? Are you feeling like you got a lot and you can give some of them away to other people or not? Understanding what your person is hoping to get help with of the day. So you can be on that same page. That's also a helpful way to help you if you need to redirect someone to think about those positive things, to think about those goals. Okay, go ahead. Just things that people she was helped with in the past, and then things she needs to be done. And then kind of just ending with, how can my staff best support me? What are my unmet needs? And then one place that she was a success for the day. So ending on some of those things. So I really like this as a way to think about checking in, whether it is something you can do systematically, maybe not as many questions with your the folks you work with, but having that so that everybody's on the same page, but also using some of those strategies for yourself, like a daily check-in. Where am I? What are my goals? How am I going to do it? And I see Justin put a note that Alicia uses different colors. So you might be like, why aren't we using red, yellow, and green, or red and orange and green? And she told us she liked those colors because they, sensory-wise, are much more pleasing to her, whereas the yellow and the red can be kind of activating or triggering for her. She doesn't like those sensory colors. So that's that. Thank you so much for helping to make this an interactive way to think about how we deal with emotion regulation. At this time, I am happy. I'm going to hand it over to Max, who's going to be working and walking us all through the group exercise.
All righty. Well, thank you very much for that. And in case you guys don't know me, I am Max Sparrows, and I work for Green Mountain Self-Advocates. And I will be leading you through an exercise to keep you all interacting with this presentation. Just also to kind of be curious of what you think about a particular situation that you end up dealing with. And this is also a way for us to kind of learn from you as well, because I'm one of those people that likes to learn from the audience that I present to. So your job is just to listen and then think about how you would deal with the particular situation. Go ahead. So you are working with a 30-year-old man with Down syndrome and generalized anxiety disorder. He is experiencing intense anxiety, anger outbursts, and refusal to attend his job, a place he has worked happily for several years. When you come in, you notice he is visibly distressed. He is pacing and repeatedly asking if he is going to lose his job and his home. His voice is shaking and he is crying. As you ask him questions, he explains there have been changes in management at work, and the new supervisor speaks quickly and harshly, so he feels unsafe and unable to ask questions or ask for help. He shares that he feels lost, is afraid of making mistakes, and is convinced that he is going to lose everything important to him. And he's talking, as he's talking, he becomes more agitated. He starts breathing hard and his fists are clenched. After you help him regulate, you notice that you are intense. Your shoulders are stiff, your heart rate is increased, and you are frowning. So what strategies can you use to regulate yourself? And I'm going to ask that as the first question, then go to the next. But the first one is, what strategies can you use to regulate yourself? Breathing, I got breathing in the chat.
Yeah, several times.
Breathing techniques.
Yeah.
Box breathing, I got those. Breathing again, yes. Imagine a peaceful scene, a prayer, counting, warm rice bag. That's nice. Close my eyes and focusing on sounds. Notice, do some reflection, take a walk or talk it out with someone. Turning on some soft music. Look around what is in your surroundings. Wax warmer.
And I love all of these, right, Max? I especially like the ones that you can do really in the moment and with, you know, about visualization or the breathing, the reflection. If you're not able to leave the space or not able to access some of the things that you usually use, those are some great examples.
Anything else? What about strategies you would have used with your client? Okay, with your client. I got look at my screen, a pic of my husband, it calms me. That's good. What strategies would you have used with your client?
While we're waiting for chats, I'll say I like that idea about looking at the lock screen. I know I have a picture of my garden on there with some of my flowers, so that might be a strategy I try next time. Okay, here we go.
It looks like music refocused, talking softly, active listening, offer empathy statements, breathing and speaking softly to your client. Yep. Let them know everything will be okay and we will talk this out if they want to, and reassure them they've got this. Change environment.
And then we've got somebody agreeing with Regina who talked about speaking softly, right? I think we've covered that in some of our other shared learning groups about how tone, right, with communication, or how quickly or slowly you speak can really impact how people hear it.
Yeah. I've got take a walk, use calm and caring facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. Redirecting them to something they love doing, encouragement and reassurance. And then I think that after talking, if they want to, I think it was in addition to something else that the person said.
Mhm.
Oh, I think that's, yeah.
So lots of great ideas.
Mhm.
And are these ones you all have used before? Are there ones that would be interesting, right? To hear ones maybe you've had success with, or are there things that maybe you might try in the future that you haven't before?
That's a good question.
So we
I
have
gotta give them.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Max.
Give them a stress ball or something they enjoy holding. And then it's a good time, and if it's a good time and he is open and calm, ask if he'd like to help planning how to talk with the new supervisor. Someone said not with clients, but with myself in extreme cases, I would throw ice cubes and at the ground outside to relieve tension. Okay.
Yeah. And then Misty answered my question, right? She says, yes, I've used it before and they work, especially soft music or music that they enjoy. And then Regina says, I've had a lot of success with agitated clients with a warm weighted rice bag. I love that, right on my shoulders. That helps me a lot.
Mhm.
And then Stephanie says, ask if they would like to do breathing or taking a walk with you to show you understand. I give some space too, right, for conversation.
Yeah.
Or just quiet outdoors. A lot of people reflected that being outdoors and being with nature is helpful. So that I think that idea of taking a walk outside could be very useful for some folks.
Yeah.
And then Misty says things that work too is when they feel heard. So all those things we've talked about in other sessions about communication, eye contact, body language, tone of voice, making sure people know that you're actively listening and working hard to understand what they're wanting to communicate.
And listen to too, she added.
Yes, absolutely. And then
Caroline.
Go ahead.
Carolina says it has only happened to me once since I'm relatively new, but speaking softly and listening to the client helped in reducing her aggressiveness. Heart from Stephanie. All right, anything else? Draw in color.
Oh,
Draw
that's a
in
great
color.
one. Yeah. I think
If they
another
want to.
good way is to think about how can other people help you calm down when you feel like you're in a crisis. And obviously if somebody's talking softly to me, I much prefer that to somebody yelling at me. But that's another way to think about your reaction is how you would want to be treated in that situation. Oh, lots more activities, puzzles, board games, quiet time with their most preferred items. But that's a great one, right? Or does the person have security items, things that they like to hold on to or have with them when they're feeling anxious or angry, agitated, frustrated?
Pictures of family. Sing karaoke together.
That's great. Looking at a photo album. So that's been a bit of a theme, right? Is to try to focus on a picture or an item.
Yeah. Call their family
Yeah.
and help calm them if available. Fidgets and hexagon touch lights. Watch a movie if they would like to.
Really kind of speaks to the person-centeredness, doesn't it, Max? To kind of know ahead of time what helps a
Yeah.
person calm and make it part of the plan, because it can be so individual.
Petting a pet or holding it, that's cool. Yeah, it does. I agree with you. Music, yep. That's a good one. All these are good.
Yes. So many great ideas.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? My client likes to watch The Wiggles and try to join in with the music and activities.
Ah, the Wiggles. That was very popular when my son was small. He loved the Wiggles. If you're not familiar with them, you'll have to Google it. They sing all kinds of fun songs and
Yeah.
yeah.
Taking a shower or bath.
Oh, great one.
Sometimes I dance with my client. Gaming is another. Skateboarding. Driving around. This is quite a bit of good stuff.
Yeah.
It seems to me that people have put thought into this and still continue to put thought into this.
Bit of a brainstorming session, which is really what these shared learning groups are all about, trying to put our head together and come up with some of these lists and ideas for ourselves.
Which
and
I like.
everybody else. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people, again, that likes to learn from people that I present to when I am around.
Yes.
So this is all really good. Cold water on a rag for their back or their neck, or warm rag, whatever is most preferred.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with what we're saying, that Alicia kind of has color preferences. So temperature is another thing that can be very person-centered and individual. Textures, colors, sounds, sensations. It's great.
Mm-hmm. I think also just being able to know that I have active support in those moments is something that helps tremendously. And then this session gives us opportunity to learn more from others and think about how we can regulate our emotions in new ways. Yoga. So many good ideas shared. I have enjoyed this session. I have wrote as many of these down as I could. Good.
Yeah, this has been great. And I think, Max, they put up the next slide, so that might be our cue that it's time to wrap up.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
great list.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And this is Stacy Nonamaker again, and like Regina, there are so many things that you all shared, and Jean and Andrea shared that definitely I've put in my toolbox of coping strategies, which, you know, that's what it's all about, right? Having choices, acknowledging that our choices may change in terms of what we need and we want to when we need coping, when we need to pull out those coping strategies, and for the person that we support as well. as we're wrapping up here, as we said earlier, and Max said it several times, we love learning from you all, and finding what are some resources, some trainings, some, things that you all go to when you're thinking about coping strategies, regulation strategies. At the Link Center, we'd really love to be able to elevate those things that are out there that we didn't know about, or, are there places that as the Link Center partners, we can identify our gaps in this area that we could address, right? And maybe design some resources. So today we definitely emphasize that we talk to many people with lived experience, including our own steering committee. And, one of the things that really I found so very interesting in being part of all of those conversations, and it was mentioned here today, was that music was one of the most used coping mechanisms. I know I can relate. Music is beautiful because you can always find something that matches your mood if you need it, or helps you change your mood, whatever is needed. And Wendy made a really good point that it's all very individualized and person-centered. And I think about the ways that we can understand ahead of time before somebody's struggling, what works for them. How can we support their use of these coping strategies? And co-regulating is so important, especially when people are struggling. And how can we, bring them back where they're not struggling? And it was mentioned that speaking softly and listening can help. And again, just saying that we need to acknowledge that we're all humans, and there's lots of pieces of us as humans, and we need to acknowledge that maybe what works today may not work tomorrow. And I also want to point out, it was a comment made in the chat by Justin Wallace, who's part of the OSU and one of our partners, that I thought was really important to acknowledge, is that piece around awareness. So Justin said, one thing that is critical for my clients is to start by teaching them what stress or anxiety feels like in their body. And this helps them learn to keep regulated as they learn to pay attention to body sensations. And I think that's true for ourselves, right? So awareness is the first step. And being aware of what that feels like in our body is really, really important. So again, inviting you all, thank you, Andrea, for dropping some of those additional resources in the chat. But if you have anything that you use, even if it's just homemade, we would love to see it and share it for sure. So here's the schedule of past and upcoming shared learning groups. As we mentioned earlier, you can find recordings, transcripts, and materials from past events on our Link Center website. I'll pop up that QR code again just a moment. You can find and register the upcoming shared learning groups on our website as well. And in July, the next topic that we'll be diving into is the importance of systems partnership in supporting people with co-occurring conditions. All right, here is our website slide. Again, if you did not catch it the first time, and Stephanie dropped our link into the chat, please check us out. We have, lots of resources on there. If you go under the resources tab, and we do put resources up there periodically, and providing our email as well, because we'd really love to hear from you. If there was something that you left today going, I wish I would have shared this, or here's something that I use, please feel free to email us. We'd love to keep an open dialogue with everyone. So we do have a quick evaluation that we really hope you'll complete for us. We do look at these evaluations, and we do use them to make improvements to future webinars, shared learning groups, and products. So if you can use the QR code, scan it with your phone, and we'll also put the link in the chat as well. You'll It'll pop up when we close today through Zoom, and everyone will get an email. So we will definitely be sure that you have a way of accessing this evaluation. Like I said, it's incredibly important to us to get your feedback to hear if this was a really helpful conversation for you all and the work that you do. So thank you again to all of you who took time out of your very, very busy days today. A special thank you to our colleagues at NAD and DOSU. And we'd like to thank Tyrone Launderville and the rest of our steering committee, as always, for sharing their thoughts and experiences that are invaluable to these shared learning groups. Thank you also to the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and to all of the Link Center partners for contributing to the preparation of the content for this meeting. So that's all that we have for you today. Have a great rest of your day. And thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you on future shared learning groups. Take care.